This video will provide an introduction to using Aqua Data Studio version 20 with Embarcadero InterBase embedded database. Aqua Data Studio is a database IDE and a productivity tool for different types of users. Here is a list of terminology that we will introduce, and we can tie it to some of the menus you see in the background. So the starting point for using Aqua Data Studio is to connect to your databases. And so for working with InterBase, the very first icon is the register server icon. And then you'll see the list of databases, and InterBase as now a selection for the databases to connect to. After connecting, you have flexibility in terms of building your navigation tree. So we'll introduce some areas there. And then you're encouraged to explore. You can see the different object types in the InterBase platform that are listed, and then the drill downs into the database or security areas in the navigation tree. So we'll explore those areas, and then of course you can right click and open up object editors. There's some different tabs that you can see I have open in the background, and we'll explore different ways of invoking those windows and right click menus throughout the database explorer. Then for working with SQL, either opening up existing SQL or typing SQL, the Query Analyzer is a core window in Aqua Data Studio. And for connecting to InterBase and existing SQL statements, you'd open those up in the Query Analyzer. If you're newer to SQL syntax, the Visual Query Builder allows you to drag and drop tables and build syntax against InterBase tables, perhaps without being an expert at SQL syntax. So probably an area many of us are familiar with from different database IDEs, and we'll introduce that powerful area here in Aqua Data Studio for InterBase, as well as the data modeling component, the ER diagramming for InterBase tables and objects. The ER Modeler is a core menu in Aqua Data Studio, so you see Query Builder, ER Modeler, and then for working with data, the Visual Analytics is very easy to use and all included in Aqua Data Studio, and now supports InterBase data sets. So you can bring data sets from InterBase or other platforms into the Visual Analytics and build dashboards and worksheets and analyze data through a data visualization component. Then through either right-click menus or the primary toolbar menus, Tools menu, you have the drill-down areas for moving data in or out of the database, generating schema or server scripts, and then the very popular compare features are found in different areas, either in the right-click menu or through the Tools menu. So let's dive in and take a look at these areas. Again, when you first install Aqua Data Studio or connect, you'll have an empty list of database connections. Or if you're an existing user of Aqua Data Studio, the very first icon or server, register server, will allow you to add InterBase to your existing connection list. So here you can see an alphabetical list of all the platforms supported. Choose InterBase, and then you have the ability to name that connection, assign a color coding there, group your connection in different ways, and then provide your user credentials and the location of that InterBase server. We'll come back to the Create Database and talk to that in a moment, but if I right-click on an existing connection, you can drill into the server properties that you defined for that connection, and here you can see examples of the color coding selection, naming this in a way that you can recognize in the navigation tree. And then there's also concepts like server groups, so you could group all your InterBase connections in a folder and then drill into those. And then there's a very helpful clone feature, and so sometimes I'll clone a connection and then customize the navigation, where if I go into the server properties here, you have filtering capabilities. Perhaps you have a certain connection that shows certain objects, and that's flexibility in terms of how you like to navigate and customize your tree in Aqua Data Studio. Okay, so then here you can see an example of a query analyzer. So after connecting and exploring, you can start navigating the Explorer tree. Right-click throughout the navigation tree, and this will reveal different helpful areas for create, alter, and drop, and then other scripting features. So I can drill into a table and see easy to develop or build SQL select statements, DML statements, insert, update, delete, DDL statements, create, alter, drop. Right, so very easy to use right-click features. And then as I explore different object types, you can see the specific object types to InterBase. So here we can see generators, subscriptions, domains, and I have some of those object editors open already. So create table object editor would be a graphical interface for creating a table in InterBase, naming your columns, defining the structure. Here's constraints in the table editor. So there's a constraints drill down, but to create or alter constraints, it's in the table editor. And then here's some other object editors I've opened: create or alter view, alter generator, alter subscription. Here's a create or alter domain. Right, so you can drill into these different areas, explore these object types, and then right-click, and you'll find embedded right-click features throughout Aqua Data Studio that you might expect in an IDE. And then depending on the environment you're connected to, you'll see different areas to drill down into. So for InterBase, we see databases and security. So the databases drill down shows my object types, and then security shows encryptions, roles, users, and ACL. So those are some different groupings, and when we explore the schema script generator or the server script generator, you can see those scripting features are separated in terms of the database object types, and then the security, user roles, and permissions drill down. All right, after exploring, the query analyzer would be a next step to explore in terms of InterBase functionality with Aqua Data Studio. So you can just right-click on a connection and invoke a query analyzer that way, or you see in the main toolbar different ways of invoking these icons as well. So if I launch a query analyzer on this existing connection, here I could just start typing SQL, and then you see some of the color-coded pop-up editors and the ability to invoke and select tables or fields, and then execute the different green run arrows for executing one or multiple SQL, parsing, and then other features you might expect in a database IDE like Aqua Data Studio. So here, if I right-click within a SQL statement, you see different features like cloning and folding and formatting. And then there's different ways of taking action on your SQL statement or working on the data set. Okay. The query main menu also has other popular features such as the SQL history. And so here you can see SQL statements you've executed over time, not only against the InterBase platform, but other databases that you might be using Aqua Data Studio against. Okay, so the query builder is the next area that we'll introduce. So the query builder, visual analytics, and ER modeler, these are all floating windows. So the database IDE environment for Aqua Data Studio has a combination of pop-out windows, tabs within the user application, and then floating windows. So the query builder is a very popular window and easy to use way for dragging and dropping tables, individually selecting fields or dragging and dropping them, and then having Aqua Data Studio build your SQL for you, allow you to execute that, and then work on your result set. So you have the ability to drag and drop tables and build SQL, and then this is a savable, reusable Aqua Data Studio file, the query builder. From the query builder or wherever you have data sets, there's integration to the visual analytics. And so here you can see the visual analytics icon from a query builder against InterBase tables. Or if I was working in the query analyzer, here's an icon to launch the visual analytics against an InterBase data set. And then you have easy to use drag and drop features for building your data visualizations, right? So there's all kinds of flexibility here in terms of the type of visualizations supported in Aqua Data Studio. So there's over 30 different templates. Here are some examples of some variations. And then if I was to perhaps maybe bring up a combination dashboard where I've brought in data from different data sources, and so to easily access a data set from Aqua Data Studio, you can just click on the data, connect to data from the data main menu in the visual analytics, and there you'll see all your available data sets. So if I was to choose, say, an InterBase data set, then I could easily start building my data visualization, just dragging and dropping values. I see my dimensions and measures here, and I could start building a data visualization story and grouping and sorting in different ways, and then saving this or sharing this in ways like Aqua Data Studio artifacts. So the visual analytics, the query builder, and then the ER modeler are all standalone floating windows that you can invoke and then save, and then you see the launching points here. So you have a very flexible user interface. The ER modeler component is a very powerful way for either reverse engineering existing environments in InterBase or forward engineering. And so under the ER Modeler New, you would have the ability to choose InterBase and then select your drag and drop areas from the right hand side to the white space. So I could select a table, and then I could define the structure of that table for the InterBase platform. Then I could drag and drop multiple tables, and then perhaps define relationships between those. You can see the one to many, many to many. So you can drag and drop and then see the definition of that relationship here and start customizing that. And then, of course, generating the deployment script, or if we revisit an existing entity relationship diagram I have here for the InterBase platform, and if I expand the tools menu, here are very powerful features for working with tables, views, and related objects. So generate script, generate a report, perhaps compare with an existing model or with a live database connection, and then the ability to make changes to individual objects or entities and drill into the code or DDL behind those. And then I was mentioning right-click features are ways to invoke the tools menu. And so after these areas that we've introduced, Query Builder, Visual Analytics, ER Modeler, you can drive from the tools primary menu, or if you right-click on a connection, you'll see different areas there that would have shortcuts based on that existing connection. So easy to use wizards for importing or exporting data, searching the InterBase environment for objects or column names, or even strings of code within stored procedures. So that's a powerful object search feature that you'd be looking for in a database IDE for InterBase. And then here's a launching point for the ER diagram, similar to the main menu ER diagram, or the schema script generator and server script generator. So you have the ability to generate extract scripts for your object types in the schema script generator. So if I right click on this connection and choose Tools Schema Script Generator, you see the list of objects similar to the databases drill down. And then the schema server script generator would have your encryption roles and users as the script generator capability. So these are easy to use windows to step through, and then you have many scripting features. If I was to perhaps open up an existing DDL script here, you can see there's different parsing capabilities, and then even scroll ahead, and very powerful features in the query analyzer that you would expect in a more than 15-year-old IDE like Aqua Data Studio. So we encourage you to dive in. You can launch the help about to find the user community link, and I think many of you are aware of that. There's a lot of helpful resources here on the community site where you have drill downs into the different platform support, and then other videos and content here as well. So good luck with Aqua Data Studio with InterBase. Thank you for joining this presentation.